Hey, good Saturday morning, men. Wanted to get on here and share a thought with you that has been, it's on my heart for quite a while, but it was from a recent conversation with a good friend of mine. And we just, for about 45 minutes, just chewed on this idea. I'm going to summarize it with this. Why does it seem that some guys are never going to learn? Why does it seem like there are men, grown men, who, for whatever reason, have found themselves in a perpetual cycle of continuing to repeat self defeating tendencies? These things can be addiction, these things can be relational, these things can be financial, they can be work related. You meet the guy, and no matter where he works, he'll always believe he's the hardest worker and he has the hardest job. You'll meet the guy that no matter if he has $5 in his hand or 55,000 bucks in his hand, it will all run through his fingers like a sieve. They have to spend the money. You have people who just are self-defeating when it comes to friendships and relationships. They just find ways to sabotage themselves, meanwhile saying, well, then it must be everyone else. Why does it seem like there are some people that are just never going to fully grow up? I think there's two things to consider. The first thing is there are enablers. There are enablers. There are people that, for whatever reason, have this broken heart for these people. It could be your kids. It could be a coworker. It could be a relative. It could be a guy that lives in your neighborhood, a guy at church. For whatever reason, your heart is just, like, man, I want to help them out. They're down on their luck again. Let me give them a place to stay. They're down on their luck again. Let me pay their light bill. Let me pay their car payment. And they got no friends, so I'm going to invite them over to my house to hang out for a while. They need a job. Hey, I'll pay you to come work for me for a while until you get back on your feet. Whatever. Your heart, it just is connected to them on some level, and so you become almost an enabler that when things are unraveling for them, they know they got you. Like, you are this invisible safety net in their life that they know they got you. And for some of you guys, I know it may not be you. It may be your wife or your kids or someone saying, hey, come on, Dad. Come on, honey. Come on. Like, we got to help them out again. And maybe you don't want to do it, but you essentially become an enabler for them. So they live in this perpetual cycle of unraveling. Maybe it's every, 12 months. We seem like we're back in this same cycle again, this same pattern again. And for whatever reason, they always seem to come back to you because you always find a way to help them out. Now, I want to say this. In my life, I have been helped out. There have been times when people have extended a hand to me. When my wife and I first got married, we were renting a place. It was a really bad situation to rent a place. My father-in-law was the preacher, and the family we were renting the place from was mad at him and causing trouble, like in service and in elders meetings and stuff. And we thought maybe not the best place to live. So when we first got married, we lived with my in-laws. You talk about ripping your manhood out, right? Like, I'm living with my in-laws. I don't know how many months into marriage we were. It wasn't a whole year, I know that. But let me tell you, we went to school full time, my wife and I. We worked at least one full-time job. I think I had three at one point. I don't say that to break my arm, patting myself on the back. I say that as I knew I refused to be comfortable living in a situation where someone else was going to take care of me as a grown man. There are times you need help. There are absolutely times that you need someone to help you. But if you live with the mentality that when things go bad, when things don't go well, or if I spend all my money, or if I blow it relationally, or quit my job because I just don't like working there, or whatever, if you know in your mind that you have that person to bail you out, you're a con artist. That's what you are. You're conning them emotionally into saying, well, they'll help me out. well, if I just mope around long enough, or I guess I can't go on that trip with you. I guess I can't go out to eat with you. I guess our kids can't go back to school. I guess they're not going to have shoes. It's this time of year. People start talking about money more, right? I guess we're not going to have Christmas. I guess we're not going to. Listen, man, you go to a shopping center and everybody is hiring. If you're willing to work, if you're willing to grind, you'll have some money. If you're willing to save money, if you're willing to not spend more than you make, I mean, these guys that spend more than they make, if you want to have a $100,000 standard of living, you're going to need to make more than $70,000. You're going to need to make $100,000 if you want to have a $100,000 standard of living. That's just the way it is. I'm terrible at math, and I know that. You're going to have hard conversations. You're going to have to commit to a church. You're going to have to work a job. Listen, work is not punishment. There are some men who are convinced that they're the hardest workers, have the hardest jobs. You sit down and you eat with them. All they can do is talk about their work and their employment. They are self-sabotaging themselves. So first of all, there are the enablers. There are people who are allowing them to continue to do this. There are people in their life that are somehow endorsing this behavior. Now, maybe you don't say you're endorsing this behavior, but you're allowing it to happen, that you keep having $20 bills leave your hand and go into their hand. You keep filling their gas tank up. You keep putting groceries on their porch, and they keep not working. They keep not reciprocating. They keep not fixing these problems. Listen, at some point, if you've had people help you out, and I just said a minute ago, I've had people help me out. Don't you want to get to the point where you help other people out? I mean, that's one of my great joys in life, that I can help people out, mostly anonymously, and just send money, give money, whatever, and not tell anybody that I've done this. Because listen, I've had people help me, but I refused to stay in that place. That leads me to number 2. So they have probably enablers in their life. And I know this is not a cut dry scenario. So for that guy who's going to go, well, you don't know everybody. You're right. I don't know everybody. I'm going to tell you right now, in my experience, this is true. Number 2, this is almost certain with every single one of the people that I come in contact with who keep repeating the same problems, the same issues in their life. You don't have enough fire in your belly to do something about it. You just don't. You're not angry enough to actually do something about it. You hate your job. Get in line. There's a bunch of people that don't enjoy your job. That's why they give you money to be there. So they give you money to be there. If you don't like their money for being there, guess what? You go down the street, someone else will give you money to be there, but you're going to hate that too. You're going to have to work there too. You're going to have to deal with people there too. You're going to have responsibility there too. It's just what it is. Now, if your job is your identity, oh, I get that. You're going to be way too wrapped up in that. So you wherever you go, there's a job that's going to hand you money, probably, but they're going to expect you to work, and it's going to be hard. And it's the work more than likely will equal the pay that you receive. The same is true with finances. If you keep finding yourself financially in the same situation where you have no money, you either need to get a second or third job to get that money or change your standard of living. Period. You can't drive new cars. You can't have the fancy cell phones and all the devices. You can't have all the traveling and the vacations. You just can't do it if you don't want to earn the right amount of money that equals that. Now, I've learned in life that you can do that for about 29 days. About that 30th day, it's amazing that something shows up in the mail that says, hey, we want our money back. We've been footing the bill for all these expenses. We would like our money back. And if you don't pay that, they will find you. It gets really sticky. Now, I know there's people that think they can avoid it, and that's a whole other conversation. You don't have enough fire in your belly. There has to come to a point where you go, you know what? I need a second job. You know what? I need a different job. The job I have isn't going to give me the money for the lifestyle that I'm after. So I need to find a different job, or maybe I need to stay at my church and I need to get involved in my church. Every church is messy. Every church has problems. No one is as committed or as solid as you are. I know that, but you got to stay there. You don't have enough fire in your belly to actually do something about this. And to me, when your head hits the pillow and you stare at the ceiling at night, it's not about your past. And I know for some of you've never been taught how to handle finances appropriately. You've never been taught how to have a work ethic. You've never been taught how to develop real relationships. You've never been taught any stick-to-itiveness or to just sometimes suck it up and deal with it. You've never been taught with that. You've never been taught that stuff. So sometimes when your head hits the pillow, just stare at the ceiling at night and ask yourself, how well is this working out for me? If I continue on this path of destruction, that I keep pulling all my best friends and my enablers in to foot the bill for me or to dig me out or to save me or to hire me on because, well, I did it again. How well is that going for you? Is that really what you want the story of your life to be? I hope it's not. But until two things change, that is exactly what your story will be. Number one, you have to quit the enablers. You have to quit leaning on people and being a scam artist and working them for jobs, money, food, vacations, housing, cars, whatever. I've seen people work people for cars, for crying out loud. You got to stop working people for gift cards. You got to stop working people for free stuff. You got to quit that, and you have to actually do what needs to be done and grow up. There's so many guys that will not grow up. They just won't do it. Sometimes being a man is difficult. That's the call. The second thing is you got to get a little fire in your belly. And you got to tell yourself, apparently, I'm not angry enough yet to do something about this. Apparently, I like living in misery. Apparently, I like other people scooping me up and bringing me out of this pit. At some point, I have to stop living this way. And until you get enough anger inside of you, until you get enough ticked off inside of you that says, oh, I'm not living like this no more. I don't want to see my kids. I don't want to see my grandkids. I don't want to see them perpetuate this same cycle because I'm not man enough to break it and do something about it. Now, to those guys who keep screwing up their lives because you refuse to grow up, here's a little bit of warning to you. And I know I don't know everybody, so I need to say this. Here's a warning to you. If you're not careful, there may be another guy that comes around who is willing to do that. So it's time that you step up, man up, and own your responsibilities. There are some men that for whatever reason just never seem to get it. They don't know how to get out of bed on time. They don't know how to go to bed on time. They don't know how to follow through with their word. They don't know how to hold fast to their commitments. They don't have any stick-to-itiveness. They're not steadfast at all. For whatever reason, nothing has really changed in their life. And unfortunately for a lot of our women, they have married a boy who can shave and they have another child to take care of. Guy, don't let that be your story. There is too much on the line for that to take place. There's too much wasted energy surrounding men who refuse to grow up, who refuse to take responsibility, who refuse to break this cycle of chaos and destruction. There's too much wasted energy going around those guys that if they would get it, if they would wake up and they would cut off all the enablers and say, nope, I'm going to figure this out, and they get a little fire in their belly and say, doggone it, I ain't going to live like this no more. Man, we could get something done around here. Amen? Just some thoughts for me. Hope you guys have a great Saturday.